Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to Reliving My Youth. My name is Noel Fogelman. My guest this week is Eddie Deezen. The legendary actor is probably best known for his role as Eugene in the Grease movies. He talks about how he got the role, lost out on it, and got it again. He talks about working with John Travolta and returning for the sequel. The sequel, although panned by critics and fans alike, has a pretty loyal fan base. He also was in Wargames, starring Matthew Broderick. He was also in 1941, the all-star cast World War II movie that featured Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, John Candy, Robert Stack. His scenes were with Murray Hamilton, who was the mayor in Jaws. There are a lot of actors who appeared in Jaws, who appeared in 1941 thanks to Steven Spielberg. Some of his other cult classic movies include Surf 2, The $1 Million Mystery, and one of my favorites, Laserblast. And if you haven't seen Laserblast, I highly recommend watching the Mystery Science Theater version of the movie. It's on YouTube. Hysterical. His voiceover work includes The Polar Express, where he voiced the know-it-all kid. We talk about working with Tom Hanks, and he shares a couple great stories. He voiced Mandark in Dexter's Laboratory. He was in SpongeBob, and I asked him a question that's been bugging me for years about his career. He answers it, and I really enjoyed my conversation with Eddie, and I hope you do as well. So Eddie, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Do you have a nice holiday?
Oh yeah, pretty much for the most part, got over being sick, but holidays are always great. They go by too quick. But how was yours?
Yes, and it was very good. The one thing, Noel, we're such a divided country. I don't want to get political on you if you don't want to, but we're such a divided country, black and white, Republican, Democrat. But there's one thing I think, and one thing alone that we all agree on: the year 2025 went by so fast. Everybody I talked to, where did this year go? It's like it was January, and then it's just gone by so quick. I never remember a year flying by so fast. I don't know why that happened, but it seemed to happen in 2025.
It's so funny how as you get older, time goes by much quicker, and
I guess so. Yeah. I'm 68. How old are you, Noel?
I just turned 50 this year.
Oh, that's a big one.
It
Mazel
is.
tov. That's a big one.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's it's a big reflection year and stuff like that. But it's age is as old as you feel, it's...
Yes, and also, we're in a good year. The people nowadays, like Dick Van Dyke, people are living to 100 now. It's not that rare. When I was growing up, 50 years ago, it was very rare if somebody was 100 years old. George Burns, Bob Hope was 100. It was very rare. But now people live to 100 all the time. You see it all the time. So I think you're going to live a long life. You have a long life ahead of you.
Yeah,
hopefully we both do.
Yeah, I want to live absolutely. Long. Yeah, you're definitely still a youngster too. So don't sell yourself short. Yeah, absolutely. And what makes me feel young and all your fans is your work. And
thank you.
It's so timeless. And this time of
thank
year,
you. You're very kind. Thank you.
Oh, of course. In this time of year, there's pretty much like 3 films that everyone, I guess my generation and the one before watch. It's Christmas Vacation, of course, Home Alone, and The Polar Express.
Interesting. You're not into It's Wonderful Life?
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but like the 3 from like maybe the past 30 years.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Those,
my favorite, of course, those are good choices. That is my Christmas Vacation is my favorite vacation movie for sure.
Right. And
I love that movie. That's the one I really get into. And thank you. You're very kind.
Oh, of course.
It's a Wonderful Life is timeless for me. Every Christmas I have to see that. And there are some, some TV episodes I have to see, some of the Twilight Zone Christmases and some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Andy Griffith Christmas episode I love with the grouchy old man.
Right. Yeah. And, they just ran a Twilight Zone marathon yesterday on.
Rod Serling's birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I got home from work and I just put on, the William Shatner one, on the airplane, of course.
The greatest TV show of all time, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was so brilliant.
Yeah, and it's great because you have such a, and I recommend everyone to check out Eddie's Facebook page because you have a lot of great jokes and a lot of history stuff about Hollywood. And you had one I really didn't know that
Orson Welles apparently was like the main person that they wanted
Yes,
to
Orson Welles was the original choice for that to host choice, and he would have been great. Orson would have killed it, but we would have lost out because Rod wrote 92 of the 156 episodes. So we would have had Orson Welles, who we all love. He's a genius, but he wouldn't have written those brilliant episodes. We would never have seen, enough time with Burgess Meredith and all those, Art Carney in the Christmas episode, all those great episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
but he would have been a great host per se. Orson would have been great for the role.
Yeah, it's funny about the roles you don't get.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, but with the Polar Express, it's so timeless. I have 3 kids, and my youngest one just turned 6. And last year he was kind of scared about the Polar Express. Some parts of it. And I sat down and watched it with my daughter because I never watched it before, really, because my oldest never got into it, and my daughter really got into it last year. So, and I had no idea that you voiced the character until I watched it for the first time last year, playing a know-it-all kid. So,
okay,
and and you did a great job. And Tom Hanks was fantastic.
Thank you. It is kind of a little bit creepy looking. I've had more than one person tell me how creepy looking it was. It's kind of weird. It was the first motion capture movie.
Right.
Every day it was Tom Hanks, me, Peter Scolari, and Nona Gay, who is Marvin Gaye's daughter. The 4 of us, we would go in every day. We'd get it dressed in scuba suits. They glue a scuba cap to our head, and then they would glue 152 dots to our face. We acted it out just like a movie. People have asked me, did you ever actually meet Tom Hanks? Yeah, we filmed it for 11 weeks just like a movie. It was filmed just like a film, but it was a special kind of camera. They filmed us, and then this is the weird part, Noel. They had 4 little kids. They had a little kid Tom, a little kid me, a little kid Peter, a little kid Noel, and they would act out the same scene. Somehow they morphed our bodies together. That's how they did. It was the first motion capture movie, and this is how it was done in 2003. So it was, over 20 years ago. I'm sure, technology is moving so fast. I'm sure they can do it better now, but that's how we did it. Anyway, when I had never seen how we looked, I went to the premiere at Mann's Chinese Theater in 2004. It was November 10th, 2004. I went to it. I thought we were so weird looking. I actually walked out. I left the theater at the premiere. I brought my girlfriend Lori there. My mom was there, and I brought a lot of my friends. And Lori goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "I'm going for a walk." So I was so scared. I go, "Oh my God, how often do you get into a Christmas movie with Tom Hanks? Christmas is my favorite day of the year. Right. Tom Hanks is my favorite star, and Bob Zemeckis is my favorite director." So I go, "This is a crushed dream. It's horrible. This is a nightmare." So I went out. I literally caught the bus. I went home. A guy on the bus, it's like a beautiful Twilight Zone episode, an African-American gentleman. I'd never met him before. He was on the bus. I was literally crying on the bus. No, literally, I was crying. He came up to me, he goes, "What's the matter, son?" I go, "Sir, I'm in this movie called The Polar Express, and it's terrible. It says this. I had all my hopes in it. It's a terrible movie." And he goes, "Oh, no, son, I heard The Polar Express is a good movie. Don't worry." And this guy cheered me up. I get off the bus. I took the bus back to the Chinese theater. I came in. The movie was just ending. Everybody was getting out. I ran up to Laura. I said, "How was the movie?" She goes, "It's a classic."
Oh, wow.
So anyway, about a couple of days later, I went to the Universal City up at Universal Studios, and my friend Tommy and I went, and we watched the movie alone. I watched it in a new unit of time, and I just watched it quietly, and I said, "This is a beautiful movie." And but it's because we look so weird, it surprised me at first. I was taken aback, because we look so strange.
Right. Well, so that was the first time you actually saw the finished product, like yourself.
That was the first time I saw the finished product. Now, it's a weird story. Here's the weirdness that I didn't realize till years later. I realized years later, how could that African-American guy have seen the Polar Express? That was the premiere day. That was the day of the premiere. How did he know it was a good movie to tell me that? It's kind of weird. But he was such a nice gentleman. He was he was a Morgan Freeman type guy, just a really kind gentleman, and he reassured me and made me feel happy. So I'll never know to this day. I never saw the gentleman again, but he helped save me from a really terrible day.
Yeah, just an angel on your shoulder, I guess.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. So, obviously, when you calm down and your girlfriend told you, it's going to be a classic, are you still surprised that we're talking about this movie decades later?
I guess I figured it was a very big production. When it was filming, I think it was the highest production of all time, the most expensive movie ever made. It was at that time, 160 million. Now I know they're making them for 200 million, but it was the highest ever. And I figured a Tom Hanks movie. And I figured, maybe we'll luck out. And I always wanted to do a Christmas movie. That was one on my bucket list. So I kind of lucked out, I guess. I figure I have 2, maybe. That and Grease are the 2 of mine that are always going to be. Grease, I know, is beyond classic. Grease will always be there. It's kind of like The Wizard of Oz. And it's kind of like Enter the Wizard of Oz class. There's certain movies are in that class. like It's a Wonderful Life, and those are both there. Wargames, I think maybe to a lesser extent. Wargames is kind of there to a lesser extent. Those would be maybe my three.
Yeah, I mean, like all three are great. Grease, playing Eugene, you got, it's a small role, but you got memorable
Right.
scenes in there, and that movie
Yeah,
plays
it's
all
good.
the
You know
time.
why I'm good in that is because I stand out because I'm so different from everybody else.
Right.
All the other guys are cool. All the guys are in leather jackets, or the guys are teachers. So I'm like the only nerd, and I'm in my Pee Wee Herman suit. So
Yeah.
I stand out in that. But I have like 4 lines, in the movie. But it's kind of like Suzanne Summers in American Graffiti. It's like a memorable short bit.
Exactly. You make the most of your time on screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So with Polar Express, you're obviously working closely with Tom Hanks rather than just being a regular animated movie.
Yes.
Like, you have any good stories to share about Tom?
He was wonderful. Well, this is my favorite Tom Hanks story, Noel. First of all, he was the most wonderful guy. He's everything you'd expect. Every day on the set was something new. Every day on the set, we would get to talk. It was always makeup. The 4 of us would go to makeup together, and Tom and I were always out of makeup early. Nona would talk maybe a little longer, because women always take longer in makeup.
Right.
And I don't know where Peter maybe was with, but I'd always talk to Tom every morning. I'd have a few minutes with him alone, and we could talk about anything under the sun. And I realized, I could talk to Tom Hanks about anything in the world. It was like a dream. But he'd come up and he'd go, one day he comes and go, okay, Eddie, Ginger or Marianne? And I was thinking, I go, well, I love Gilligan's Island. I loved Marianne when I was a young kid. I had a crush on her. But when I grew up into an adult, I switched to Ginger. How about you? And he goes, I always give the same answer. It depends on the episode. He would always have a wise ass answer like that. He'd always have something to say. He'd go, one day he comes up to me, he goes, Eddie, what do you think was the greatest injustice in the history of the Oscars? And again, I was taken aback. I didn't know what to say. I don't know. What do you think, Tom? And he goes, how about Cary Grant never winning an Oscar? Now, that was a great answer. Now, Looking back 20 years later, Noel, my answer is easy. I think Tombstone, the fact that Val Kilmer was not even nominated, I think that's the biggest ripoff in Oscar history. That would be my answer now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to answer your question. This is my favorite Tom Hanks story. Do you remember Captain Kangaroo?
Oh, I used to love Captain Kangaroo.
Okay, Captain Kangaroo. Yes, Captain Kangaroo, Our Generation, was the first show I was ever hooked on. I would watch it every day before I went to kindergarten. Every day. I loved Captain Kangaroo. It was the first show I went crazy over. Anyway, while we were shooting Polar Express, I think it was January 23rd, 2004, Bob Keeshan, who played Captain Kangaroo, died. Right. He passed away. And I was, of course, bummed. Oh, my God, this is my childhood. It's a figure in my life. Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo died. So I'm in the makeup room getting made up, and I was real sad. Tom Hanks comes in the makeup room. He goes, Eddie, did you hear Captain Kangaroo died? I go, yeah. And we swap stories how we both loved Captain Kangaroo. Tom said how much he loved them. And, we talked a little bit about it, and I got done my makeup, and I walked out of the makeup room, I'm walking, and I went out into a clearing. It was just me all alone. And I realized somebody was walking behind me. I heard footsteps behind me. It was a bright, sunny day. I turned around. It was Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks had followed me out of the makeup room. So Tom Hanks is there. We're out in this clearing. It's a bright, sunny day. I look up to him. What the devil is Tom Hanks is a big guy. He's like 6'2". I'm like 5'10". So I'm looking up at the bright sun, looking up at Tom Hanks. We're both in our Polar Express scuba suits, okay, with our scuba hats and the dots on our face, like 2 idiots. But it was just us 2 alone. So anyway, so I look up to him. I didn't say a word. He starts singing me the Tom Terrific song. I'm Tom Terrific, and this is my dog, Mighty Dog. You can see it on YouTube. It's a stupid little, puerile little childish song, but he sang me the whole. I'm looking into this song. I'm almost crying. He's singing me the song. Tom Hanks sang me the entire Tom Terrific song, word for word, verse for verse, the entire song. Wow. I'm looking at like Oliver Hardy. I'm going, did anybody else see this? Does anybody believe this is happening? Tom Hanks just gave me a personal serenade. I look up to him. So I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. He just stood there. No, I said what was in my heart. I go, you know what? I go, you're a great guy. You're a great guy. And he just walked away. He never said a word. He just walked away. It was a surreal, beautiful moment. It was one of the most beautiful moments in my life. But that's my favorite Tom Hanks story. And that story sums up who Tom Hanks is. I think he lives to make people happy. He just lives to bring joy to people. And every Thursday when we did Polar Express, he would have a catered lunch brought into us from Langer's Deli. He'd corned beef, pastrami, a roast beef sandwich. He'd have potato salad, kosher pickles. He'd have it brought in. And then one Thursday I'm watching, and we're all chowing down on our food like pigs, and Tom's not eating. And I go to Peter, so I go, why isn't Tom eating? He goes, oh, Tom hurt his jaw. He can't eat this food.
Oh.
So in other words, the guy can't eat it himself, but he wanted us to be happy.
Wow.
So he brought us all this wonderful deli food. And every Thursday night, he'd get us a lottery ticket. He'd get us one lottery ticket. You know, it's meaningless, but it was just a beautiful gesture. So we'd all have a chance to win the lottery, you know.
Right.
He did this kind of stuff all the time.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, he's got so many amazing movies too. I mean,
He's my favorite star. He's my favorite movie star of all time. You know, whether it's Splash or you know Catch Me If You Can, or of course Forrest Gump, we all love.
Right.
I grew to love Polar Express. He's done so many movies that I love, and he's so wonderful. One day on the set, I realized I want to get a picture of him. So I went to. He had a pretty blonde secretary. I said, "Can I get an autographed picture of Tom?" She said, sure. So she went. The next day in my dressing room, I come in, there's a manila envelope. I open up a beautiful framed picture of Tom Hanks. It says, Eddie, maybe we worked together 1,000 times. Tom Hanks. Oh, wow. It was the most beautiful picture I've ever seen. Now, here's the idiot thing. I brought it home later, Noel, and I wanted to clean it. It was a little dusty, so I wanted to clean. So I sprayed water on it. The water seeped in and ruined the picture. It was the stupidest thing I ever did. But it was beautiful of Tom to give me it like that.
Yeah. That's what a guy. And you got to have a little like bosom buddy reunion there with Peter Scolari too.
Yes, with Peter Scolari. I had worked with Peter Scolari. I'd never worked with Nona, but I'd worked with Peter Scolari. We did a terrible movie called The Rosebud Beach Hotel with Colleen Camp. We worked together. And Peter and I think did a pilot together too years ago. But I knew Peter already. So he was kind of the intermediary, and he like knew Tom and he knew me, you know. So he was like the end guy. But Peter, I knew, was a great guy. He was a lovely guy, and we all miss him.
Yeah, totally.
Him passing away was a big loss. He was a beautiful guy.
Yeah, no, he was great.
Yeah.
How many pilots do you think you've done over the years?
I did 9 pilots over the years. I think the only one that ever sold, I did 2 that sold. One that sold was called Double Trouble with the Seagal twins.
I remember that show, yeah.
Okay, yes, for some reason they didn't hire me back on. I did the pilot, and they never had me on the show, so that sold. And I did one called Punky Brewster.
Yes.
Which was a mediocre show. I did 8 episodes, and then they let me go. For some reason, they let me go, and they let a guy named Alan go, and they let some of the people go. But, you know, I wasn't that happy doing it, so I didn't mind. I love George Gaines, was a wonderful guy.
He was
great. George Gaines, okay. They go, Eddie, you know, he had that voice, Eddie. Goes, Eddie, I hear you're a Beatles fan. Yes. So he got me tickets, literally, to go in to see Paul McCartney. I got the ticket. It was a Christmas present or something. He's such a sweet guy. He got me tickets, and I got to see Paul McCartney in concert. He was such a nice guy, and I'll never forget. I mean, what a guy to get me Paul McCartney tickets, you know? Yeah. But that's what he did. So Leo, I didn't know that well, but she was a nice little girl, you know? She's off on her own thing now. She has a totally different character. I think she's still an actress. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, they did like a reboot of the show a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they did a reboot of the show. Is she on that?
Yeah, she was. I didn't watch it, but she was. I think she was a single mom or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they ended up making an animated series too about it in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But George Gaines, he was great in the Police Academy movies.
Police Academy and Tootsie. He's great in Tootsie.
Yeah, he was amazing in Tootsie. Yeah. So going back to Grease before, and you know. That's such a an iconic movie, and you had some memorable scenes, and you worked with Tom Hanks before, and John Travolta, and
John Travolta was just as cool. John was wonderful. My first scene, Noel, was where I walked downstairs. So my first scene I ever did. Grease was my first film. Right. Talk about winning the lottery. Yeah. That's my first friggin' movie. They always go, did you know Grease would be such a classic? And I always go, everybody thinks their first movie will be a classic because you have no experience. But Grease actually was a classic. Most people, they do a movie, Bill and Harry go to Idaho or whatever. Right. And they go, this is going to be great. And it opens and nobody goes, because most people's first movie just bomb. That's the way it usually is. You don't get into a great movie. But Grease was. Anyway, my first scene, I walked down the stairs and where the T-Birds mess with me. Hi, Eugene. I go, hi. Da, da, da. And then they mess. After every take, John would make sure I was okay. Every take, T-Bird action. And we go, hi. Da, da, da. Oh, that's Eugene. They messed up my hair. Cut. Tom, are you okay, buddy? He always called me buddy. He never called me Eddie. Right. Is you okay, buddy? You all right, buddy? Yeah, I'm fine. And we did about 6 or 7 takes. After every take, he made sure I was okay. He was just a mensch. He was like an older brother to me. But Tom was like an older brother to me, too. They were both like older brothers to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the movie did amazing. And then, of course, when a movie does do really well, they want to make a sequel. And you were a handful of people from the original movie to be in the sequel. Were there ever any doubts about doing the movie?
About doing Grease?
Oh, no, Grease 2.
Grease too. I don't know. I have a beautiful religious story about Grease. I'll tell you real quick, and then
sure.
I'll answer your question. I don't know. Are you a religious person?
Not really.
Okay, this is a religious thing. This is what religious people hear this story and they go, "That's divine intervention." When I tell secular people, which you're secular, I respect everybody's beliefs. I'm kind of an agnostic myself.
Yeah.
So secular people go, "You lucked out." But anyway, I went into Grease and I auditioned for Alan Carr, the producer. Joel Thurman, the casting director, and Randall Kleiser was the director.
Right.
So I went in and auditioned for those three. I have like 4 lines. "Hi, Eugene." Da da da. I go, "Oh, hi, fellas." "Oh, it's Eugene. That's my name." I throw the pie. And anyway, I noticed while I was auditioning, they were nudging each other. I thought it's a good sign. Oh, these guys are nudging each other. Like, you look at a hot girl and you nudge each other, or women will look at a hot guy, and Brad Pitt, and they'll nudge each other. So anyway, a couple days later, they called my agent. They said, "We want Eddie for Grease. We'll be in Grease." So I called my parents. I called everybody. And "I'm going to be in this movie with John Travolta. I'm in this movie with John Travolta. It's called Grease." Da, da, da. I told everybody. Anyway, a couple days later, Noel, Paramount called my agent. They said, "Eugene is a very small role. We're going to cut it out of the movie. We're not going to need Eddie." So my agent called me, and she told me that. Of course, I wanted to jump off a cliff. Not only am I not going to be in my first movie, but I told everybody I'm going to be, end up looking like such a fool. I told everybody I'm going to be in it. I'm not going to be in it. So she goes, "We're going to go to church and pray." So she came over to the house. We drove to this little church in Hollywood. It's still there. It's called our Mother of Good Counsel Church. It's still there. We went to church. No, I never prayed so fervently in my life. Even though I'm Jewish, I prayed so fervently. I go, "Please, God, let something good happen. Please, God, help me. Please." I was clenching my fist, closing my eyes, almost crying. I was so praying so fervently. Anyway, a couple days later, I swear to God, Paramount called back to go, "We're putting Eddie back in the movie. We're going to use Eugene again. He's back in the movie." Oh, wow. So again, if you're religious, it's divine intervention. If you're secular, you got a lucky break. So take the story however you want. That story is 100% true. But anyway, I want to answer your question. Was there ever any doubt I'd be in Grease 2? Was that your question?
Yeah. Did you have any doubt about doing it?
Oh, no. I wanted to do it. I wanted to work. Grease, I came out pretty good. Grease, they cut out a lot of me.
Right.
I wasn't important, but, I walk down the stairs. That's unique. See, now I get hit with the pie. That's unique. You can see me waving the car at the end of the movie. And you can see me jumping around and dancing. So as small as the role is, you can clearly see me. Grease 2, pretty much, they just clip me to ribbons. You'll see me apart there. I'm on the ceiling, and they're doing the play. Yeah. What's her name? Wonderland Girl or something, some kind of beauty school girl or something. I'm throwing confetti. And then they just cut it out. And then I have a scene that's building up with Matthew, and I go, "How long have you been in this country?" It could have been a funny scene. They just cut that out. It's like that scene had more, and they cut that. For some reason, they go, "Oh, maybe if we cut Eddie out, it'll be better." But I got cut out much more in Grease 2 than I did in the original Grease.
Right.
Whatever. But anyway, Matthew was a lovely guy. The first day on the set, Maxwell called me into his dressing room and goes, "Eddie, would you like to come over to my dressing room?" I figured, whatever. I went. He served me tea and cookies. Now, he's a sweet guy. Maxwell's one of the nice guys I ever worked. But I'm going, this movie is going to tank so bad. I go, this guy is not going to replace John Travolta. I'm sorry. The girls are all going to come in wanting to see, Danny Zuko. Right. This guy's not what they want, And I didn't think the T-Birds were as good looking. They had the one little kind of geeky looking T-Bird, I think his name, I forget what his name was. Adrian Zmed was cool. Yeah. And the other guy was cool, but it just wasn't the same. Yeah, I don't know. I knew it was going to bomb, and it did bomb.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't reheat a souffle, that saying. You can't go back to Grease. Grease was what it was. And, to recapture that magic without John and Olivia, I don't know, without Danny. I thought Danny and Sandy, they go, what made Grease so great? A lot, the music, so many things. But the core of it was Danny and Sandy. Right. John and Olivia is what did it. And without them, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the musical numbers were good in the second one, but no, it just couldn't capture, the
some people, believe it or not, like Denise, the lady who is my caregiver, where she takes care of me, she likes Grease 2 better. And over the years, I have met maybe 80 or 90 people out of millions of people I've talked about Grease who like Grease 2 better. But for me, Grease blows Grease 2 out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met Michelle Pfeiffer one day on the set. She was Marilyn Monroe, gorgeous, absolutely the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Literally like a young Marilyn Monroe. She was that drop dead gorgeous. And I was like, I'm a straight guy. I'm like in a daze. I walked up to her, and I was literally like a robot. I go, "You're beautiful," I said, because I was mesmerized. Right. And she said, "Thank you." She was very gracious. She very graciously said, "Thank you." That was the only time I talked to Michelle. Yeah.
Yeah. I think her career turned out pretty well.
Her career, yes, she went on superstardom. Maxwell Caulfield kind of never reached superstardom, but she did. Maxwell had a good career. He was on a TV show, I know. He never became a movie star, but he had a good career.
Yeah, I remember he was like in Dynasty and a couple
Dynasty,
other
that's
things.
it.
It was the Empire Records, that movie he was in, and
Right.
a couple other things.
Right.
Yeah,
He was a very, very nice guy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about the classic that is Laserblast. I absolutely
Laserblast. Okay, Laserblast
love
was
it.
the only movie where I play a bad guy. It's the only movie I literally die in.
Yeah.
I literally get blown up in a car. I die in it, and I deserve it. I was a rapist. I I jump on the girl Froggy.
Yeah.
I play a freaking rapist. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I die. We're in the car and I die. I worked on it for 3 days. We were out in the desert. Kim Milford, I think, was my first actor I ever worked with who died of AIDS. This was, it's not the AIDS era anymore, but in that era, I lost several friends to AIDS, and he had AIDS. He was nice. The director was Michael Ray. He was a very nice guy. And that's about it. I mean, the Mystery Science Theater version, I hope you see, it blows it out of the water. It's like Grease and Grease 2.
Yeah.
If you want to see Laserblast, watch the Mystery Science Theater when it's a classic.
Oh, I agree.
Laserblast itself to me, it's a mediocre science fiction movie. It's okay, The monsters are kind of okay. It was what it was.
Yeah,
it was a low budget movie, and that's what it was.
Yeah. That's how I discovered the movie, through Mystery Science Theater, because I used to watch that show.
That's what's immortal. The Mystery Science Theater version is immortal. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's hilarious.
And they roast you. They do a funny job with you too.
They do a funny job. Oh, it's an Eddie Deezen movie. Now we know it won't be funny. They stick the knife in me and twist it.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, you're in the car and they're like, oh yeah, Eddie, just smack him in the newspaper or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They say, look at this. Yeah, they do it better than me.
Yeah, and and Roddy McDowell was in there. He must have needed the money or something. But
Roddy McDowell. Yeah, I never met Roddy, but yeah, he must have needed the money. And Keenan Wynn is in it. Another two major stars. Both in it. They both must have needed the money.
Yeah, totally. But it's funny. They made like the monsters into action figures. You can buy them online and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. They should have made a Froggy action figure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They should. A talking Froggy or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, Polar Express wasn't the first time you worked with Robert Zemeckis. 1941.
No, my favorite director.
Right, 1941.
Yes. I want to hold your hand. 1977. Yeah. This was, by the way, kind of historic. I think, and by the way, I don't think there's another one. I think it was the first movie ever made about the Beatles. There's, we've seen dozens of them since then, but I think that was the first Beatles movie. This was before, of course, we lost John. Yeah. And then, Beatlemania, at that time, the Beatles were big. The Beatles were always legendary. But it was after John passed away that they became, as iconic as they are now. Like, they're the big, they're like Shakespeare. Right. The Beatles are like at the level of Shakespeare, or, you know what I mean? There's nobody bigger. Yeah. And they were big. They were a big group, but it took that on, I think, after John died. And this was the first Beatles film. And it was the first film Steven Spielberg ever produced. And I worked with Bob, and I know this guy's the best director ever. And he later wrote 1941, which Steven directed. They switched. Yeah. And, Steven produced one in a bit. I want to hold your hand for whatever reason. It got almost unanimous, great reviews, but it tanked at the box office for some reason. And I think maybe because the Beatles weren't as big then, I don't know, because it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Now, we didn't have a star name. Maybe that hurt us. We didn't have a real star. We had Paul Newman's daughter. That was as close to a celebrity as we had, Right. Susan Kendall Newman. And she retired shortly after that. She didn't have a long career, but she was a nice girl. Wendy Jo, Wendy Jo Sperber was a genius. And she was, again, back to the Bosom Buddies connection, how I'm connected to that show, even though I never did the show.
Yeah, we lost her way too soon as well.
Yeah, she was the best comedy partner I ever had. She was brilliant. She was a female Lou Costello. She was so good.
That's a great comparison. It really is.
Yeah.
And 1941.
Oh my God, the scene where she throws the dimes in the machine and the phone, a payphone. She throws the dime. Now, kids today might not even understand that scene. They don't know what a payphone is,
No,
but when we grew up, we had payphones.
Yeah.
Now everybody walks around with their phone and their computer. It's like Wargames. Remember when we did Wargames 40 years ago, computers were as big as a room, they took up a room. Now everybody carries around a computer in their hands.
I know, and everyone's looking down, and, no one has like interpersonal, communications anymore.
Exactly.
It's a shame. It really is.
Yeah. We've kind of lost something, but that's where technology is. It brings you to a new level, but you kind of lose something too, an intimacy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And like 1941, like such an all-star cast. I mean,
Yes.
Aykroyd. I mean, Ned Beatty was an action star in that movie.
Ned Beatty, Belushi.
Belushi.
Well, you realize, Noel, it's very sad when you look at it. John Belushi, as great as he only left us with 7 movies.
I know.
7 movies. He had so much more to give us. He could have given us 50 movies, but he got a bad break. It's horrible. He probably knew the wrong people. He was such a wonderful, nice guy. Totally the nicest guy ever. He would always come and say hi to me. Right. Dan Aykroyd was the sweetest guy ever. I'll tell you, this is my favorite John Belushi story, but it's this quick story, but this is John Belushi. The last time I met John Belushi was after we finished 1941, and I was at Universal, and I had an audition. And it was a bad audition. I happened to be walking home. I was walking to the bus, and who's there? John Belushi's there alone. I walked, John Belushi, hey, Eddie, how are you? We talked, I hugged him. That was the last time I saw him. He goes, what happened? What's going on? You look so sad. I was real sad, and it was just one of those auditions that was terrible. And I go, John, I just had the worst audition. It was terrible. It just didn't go good at all, and they hated me. And he goes, they're assholes. And he walked off. That was the last time I saw John Belushi.
Wow.
Yeah, he was just a sweetest guy ever. Dan Aykroyd was so nice. Treat Williams was nice. John Candy was so nice. John Candy, I knew him to say hi on the set. They always go, do you have any John Candy stories?
Right.
John Candy's the only one I had. I was in Hollywood one day. I was hanging out on Hollywood and Vine, and who's walking up the street? John Candy and his manager. And John Candy's man, we were by there used to be a Howard Johnson's. Howard Johnson's out of business now, but it was a great ice cream place. Right. And I was on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, and the 3 of us went into Howard Johnson. We had ice cream. And I was talking to John. John was the sweetest guy in the world. He was literally the sweetest, nicest guy I've ever known. And I remember literally his manager was a bit of an asshole. His manager was kind of laughing at the way I talk. He goes, look, he really talks that way. He was making fun of the way I talk. Look at me. And I remember John was just totally stoned. He didn't join in the laughter. He knew, he's like, apologizing with his eyes, that expression. He's like going, this guy's a dick, I'm sorry for him, but he just kept on talking, and I just remember what a sweet guy, and how he was like apologizing with his eyes because his manager was so rude to me. And that's my only John Candy story. And, I was devastated when he died. We loved him so much. We all loved him so much. Yeah. He was a horrible loss. He had so much more to give us too. He was only like 43, I think, when he died.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, every role he was in, he stood out, even if it was
he left as opposed to John Belushi, who didn't really leave us with that much. He left us with Animal House, and to a lesser degree 1941, but not a lot. Whereas John Candy left us with tons of, he loves Uncle Buck and all Splash. Yeah. All these great movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I watched over Christmas. He led us with a lot.
Yeah,
so in that respect, it's good. But in the fact that the world always needs nice, beautiful people, the fact that we lost John Candy was a tragedy. Because, there's so much hate in the world, and he was the antithesis of that. This guy didn't have a molecule of hate in his body. He was just a beautiful, totally nice guy. One of those rare beings. He was almost like from another planet. He was so nice.
Yeah. And everyone has a favorite, John Candy role. It's, it's not just a one movie he did. It's
you're right.
Different. And it, to me, like you mentioned, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. That's one of my favorites. I watch that every year. Thanksgiving and stuff like that. It's such a good movie. But and the movie brought back so many 1941 that is like people from Jaws. Like Lorraine Gary was in it. I mean,
yes, Lorraine was a lovely lady, super nice lady.
Yeah,
and of course Murray up on the Ferris wheel.
Exactly,
now here's where I'm an ignorant kid. I had not seen Jaws. No, when we did 1941. So Murray and I were up there. We had some great conversations. We talk about we were dudes. Yeah. We talk about women and we talk about life and philosophy and religion, everything under the sun. But we never talked about Jaws. Because I had never seen it. And then I saw it later, and, it's one of my favorite movies, one of the greatest movies ever made. Yeah. But I just had not seen it at the time. Here's a weird Eddie Deezen story, but it's true. I saw Jaws 2 before I saw Jaws. For some reason, I didn't see Jaws, and I saw Jaws 2, and I literally fainted. It's the only movie I ever fainted at.
Oh, wow.
If you watch Jaws 2, the shark attacks somebody named Eddie. There's a kid named Eddie in Jaws 2, and the shark goes after him. Yeah. And I watched the scene in the movie theater. I went there, and I felt woozy. I've never felt that weird. I walked to the bathroom, and I splashed some water on my face. I didn't know, and I woke up on the floor. I literally fainted. My head hurt, and I literally fainted. It's lucky I didn't crack my skull open on the hard floor. Oh, wow. But I literally fainted in the bathroom, and my head hit the floor, and I just had a bit of a headache. But I literally fainted. It's the only time I ever fainted in a movie. So that's why I never saw Jaws. But I did see Jaws later, and I loved it.
Yeah, and Roy Scheider, I think the only reason why he did the second one is because I guess he was contractually obligated and did not want to do it. So
Is that right?
Yeah, he was like just miserable during that whole shoot.
Yes, it's anticlimactic, Jaws is a perfect movie. Why, what I mean, why would you want to do that one again? Some movies you can kind of see. Let's try it again. Some, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example, but Jaws was a perfect story. There's this very evil creature and they conquered the evil, the good one, and it's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they never, made a sequel to E.T., and nor should they. It's a perfect movie.
Yeah, exactly. They shouldn't have done it to Grease. And I hope there's a rumor, I hear a rumor every year, they're doing a sequel to Polar Express. I hear it all the time, Eddie, and it's never happened yet. But it's probably, because of the money involved, they'll probably do it. But why?
Why?
Why really do it? It's a great story. It's like the Wizard of Oz. There's no reason. We all got something. We all changed at the end. There was a metamorphosis. It was a beautiful movie. Leave it alone. But, they'll do it. I'm sure,
I'm sure.
Because of the almighty buck, they'll do a Polar Express too, I'm sure.
Yeah, because, they run out of ideas in Hollywood. Either it's a
you run out of creative
or
ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a shame. But I heard a story that they really wanted Jackie Gleason and Art Carney for your role.
Yes,
and
that's a
Murray's
true
role?
story. I don't know what the reasoning was, but they were the original choices.
Wow.
And that fell through, and then they went to Murray and me. Yeah, but that would have been funny.
Yeah, no, that would have been like a good good funny callback to the Honeymooners.
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah, and they even got Susan. I think her name was Susan Blacklinney, who was the girl swimmer.
Yes.
In the beginning
Which
of Jaws.
I had heard. I don't know. No, you're a movie connoisseur, right? I can tell.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I had heard. This is what I heard. I don't know if this is true. You can verify it, but I had heard that was the first time ever a director satirized his own movie. When he did 1941, he satirized Jaws at the beginning, where
Right.
Susan's swimming and, the periscope. But I think that was the first time a director ever satirized his own movie in a movie.
Yeah, you're probably right because, people, the
it's
satirize
interesting bit
other
of
stuff.
trivia.
Yeah.
I think if you ask that trivia, that would stump anybody. It's a great trivia question.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But
My favorite 1941 story is when we're rolling off the pier, when Murray and I were rolling off the pier in the Ferris wheel,
Right.
Stephen was whipping us around really fast. And I have bad motion sickness. So I said, Stephen, please stop. So he stopped. He brought me down. I went over to him. I go, I feel nauseous. Stephen goes, go lay in my dressing room. So he had his pretty secretary. He had a blonde secretary who was so cute. She walked me to a cot in Stephen's dressing room. I'm there. Anyway, I started to feel nauseous. I crawled on my hands and knees to the bathroom in his dressing room, and I threw up. And then it dawned on me. I did another Oliver Hardy look at the camera. I go, I just threw up in Steven Spielberg's toilet. What an honor. I go, this is one of the highlights of my career. So that was one of the happiest moments of my career. That's my favorite Steven Spielberg story.
Wow.
He was just the nicest guy ever. Such a wonderful kind man. To describe Steven Spielberg, I would say it one word: unpretentious. He was just a regular, nice guy. He's like the biggest, he's as big a name as anybody in showbiz.
Yeah.
He's as big as Tom Hanks or Brad Pitt. Anybody, but he's totally unpretentious. Hi, and he'll go up and talk to anybody. Just a regular nice guy.
Yeah, and he makes great work too. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there was a movie that you did that cracks me up, Surf 2. And I think it's like the first movie in history to have a sequel without actually having first movie.
We were in the Guinness Movie Book of World Records. We were the first movie. You're exactly right. It was the first movie that was 2 where there was no Surf 1. Yeah, which was, and some of the critics said, at least one critic said, the funniest gag in the movie is that. The title of the movie is funnier than anything in the movie. But it was a funny movie. It was the first time I ever had a starring role in a movie.
Yeah.
And the girl disappeared. She just vanished. That pretty girl who was with me, her name was
Linda Carriage.
Linda Carriage, she was a lovely girl. She was British or Australian.
Yeah.
She was lovely. She just vanished. I don't know what happened to her, but she was lovely. Yeah.
And it's
but she was fun to work with.
Yeah.
And it was a fun movie. Eric Stoltz, of course, who later did Mask the next year. Mask is one of the most beautiful movies ever made. And by the way, we talk about Oscars. Why didn't Cher get an Oscar for Mask? She killed it. It's by far her best role.
Yeah, she was.
And then she gets an Oscar for a movie, but I think is very overrated. That one with what's his name, with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Moonstruck. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie is so overrated. Maybe it's a chick flick, but I think Mask is 20 times the movie that Moonstruck is.
Yeah,
it's way better. It's one of the most beautiful movies ever made.
Yeah, I think they probably gave her the Oscar for that one because she wasn't given the Oscar for Mask, maybe.
Maybe so. Maybe it was a makeup Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Linda Carriage she was married to an actor, Corey Parker, And I don't know if you ever worked with him, but he was in Biloxi Blues with Matthew Broderick. And he played Private Epstein, which I felt you would have been perfect for that role. I don't know if you ever seen
that
Biloxi
guy
Blues.
looked like me. I remember that role. So she actually liked nerdy guys. Maybe I could have scored with her. No,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So she's this knockout bombshell girl. I didn't know she liked nerdy types. That guy in the movie looks like me. Yeah. He looks like me and he acts like me.
Yeah, and Surf 2. I mean, it was a goofy, funny movie. Terry Kaiser's in it, and Ruth Buzzy. Yeah. Lyle Wagner.
It's a fun movie, and looking back, when you get to be my age, when you get to be 68, you look back and there, when you're going through it, it's like, it's horrible. Oh my God, this movie's terrible. And then you look back when you see it, you just go, they were just movies. You like them or you don't. They were good or they were bad. People view them their own way. Some movies I hate, a lot of people love, and some movies I love, a lot of people don't like. So it's like it's all subjective. It's all taste in movies. Whatever you like,
Yeah. So like at the time when you're in a movie like that, or say like Grease 2, or movies that kind of get panned by the critics, but people like them. Like how do you react to that at the time?
That's very interesting. I don't know. That's a very interesting, because 1941 is kind of like the critics savaged 1941.
Yeah, they did.
And I'm telling you, every show I do, 1941 goes over so big. Eddie, I've heard Noel, several people, that's my favorite movie of all time. They don't say they like 1941. They go, 1941 is my favorite movie of all time, they'll say. Do you have any pictures from 1941? And they love the movie. So you don't know how history's going to treat it. Look, Noel, history. Citizen Kane bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz bombed at the box office. Who knows? You don't know.
Yeah, and it's funny because like
history is the ultimate judge,
Yeah, and like movies come out and they have like a 2-week life, it seems like, to make money.
Yeah,
but they're out there forever. I mean, people can watch them forever, and it's just
exactly.
So, but it's a movie also like Delta Pi.
Yes, Delta Pi. Remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah, like Ruth Gordon.
That was Ruth Gordon. Yeah. Ruth Gordon. She's like this legend, and she couldn't hear. She was like half deaf.
Yeah.
And I could not understand. It was a dead common. First of all, she had trouble hearing. And the other was, if it lasts on enough, here's the catch-20, not a catch-22, but a double whammy.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand what she was saying, Noel. Because she'd go, we're doing a scene. And she goes, and we'll take him, and we'll rub my mouth, shake this, and we'll move us around. And I didn't know. So I would just watch her mouth. And when she stopped talking, I would know to talk. You walk down and go, hi, Eddie, how are you? And I go, I'm fine. Where do you live? On Maple Street. So I go, how? And she go, hi, Eddie, how dog? I'm fine. So why? I live on Maple Street. I didn't know what she was saying. She was a nice enough lady. I couldn't understand her. Now, here's my beautiful Ruth Gordon story. Years later, I worked with her and all, and I thought, she's kind of a nice lady. She's a legend. She was okay. But I wasn't crazy about her. She was kind of irascible, but she was a nice lady. She wasn't mean or anything. But anyway, my mom and dad met her years later. They saw her at a play or a show or something. And my mom went up, she goes, Ruth, I said, you were in a movie with my son, Eddie Deezen, called Delta Pi. And it was also called Muggsy's Girls.
Yeah.
He said Muggsy's Girls. And then Ruth Gordon goes, oh, are you Eddie's parents? You mean that tall guy with all that talent? She literally said this. She goes, that tall guy with all that talent. What a sweet thing to say.
Oh,
so
nice.
She did remember me after all these years. She did assimilate me, and she knew who I was. But some people you don't, it's kind of like in life. You don't know that, it's like It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. Another movie that bombed at the box office. You don't realize the effect you're having on other people, what's really in their hearts. Maybe you had a big effect on somebody and you don't know it. Right. But she remembered me and knew who I was and all that. That was a very beautiful thing, because I thought the movie was just a throwaway for her. Also, was that Laura Branigan's only film? I think that was Laura Branigan's only movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like I was shocked to see her, because she's such an amazing.
She was a nice lady. She was a super nice lady.
Yeah. No, it's a shame too. She passed away way too young.
She passed away. We lost her way too young. She was a beautiful lady, and she was a very, very nice lady.
Right.
Yeah.
And
talented.
Amazing
voice. She was sexy. She was talented.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like it's those fun movies you can watch anytime too. So it's like 90 minutes you get a good laugh. So
exactly.
Yeah. And one movie that like it's kind of innovative at the time, but also kind of bombed, was Million Dollar Mystery. And I remember like Glad.
Million Dollar Mystery. The only director I love my directors. I'm an actor. I really need my directors, and I count on them. I count on them to lead me and tell me, Eddie, I want you to do this. And I like that.
Right.
This guy was just a sour ball. His name was Richard Fleischer. He's supposedly this legendary director. He was a mean little twerp. I didn't like this guy from the word go. Now, I had been talking on the set once. this really happened. And I said something about him that wasn't derogatory, but I don't know how to describe this moment to you. But he like overheard me at the wrong time in a story. And I think he thought I was insulting, but I wasn't. Yeah. But I don't think he ever forgave me for that moment. It's kind of like I go, I'm saying something like, Noel is a great guy. Noel's a wonderful guy. I really like Noel. But Noel, I'm just making this up. Yeah. Noel talks too much. Right. And you happened to walk in where you heard me say Noel talks too much. And he heard me say that, and I don't think he ever forgave me. And I just don't think that he ever liked me. And he was the only director I never liked working with. I hated the guy. I just thought he was a terrible, overrated director. Now, I don't know. Maybe his movies are good. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know of any of his movies, but I know he's been in some of these classics. Yeah. Right. Some classics, but I didn't like it. The big discovery for that one was Kevin Pollak, who is a genius, and Kevin did some great movies.
Yeah, and he does amazing, impressions.
Yeah, he was the big discovery. He's a big talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was Glad Bags did like a whole promotional.
It was the only movie in history we literally gave away $1 million. Somebody won a lottery and they won $1 million. Now here's the problem with that, Noel. The movie itself only made $900,000, so they were stuck. Glad Bags, they had this bomb movie, and they did pay off this lady. She won the $1 million, but the movie just tanked at the box office. Never caught on for whatever reason,
Yeah. And Richard Fleischer, the director, he directed Conan the Destroyer. He did.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So you got that. He did The Jazz Singer.
Neil Diamond. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
And 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Some of the movies he's
done. That's a classic. Yeah. So he has a good, he's a good resume. What can I say?
Yeah.
I didn't get on with the guy, and my scene with the bed, my highlight in the movie is my scene with the bed.
Yeah,
he cut that short. I saw in the preview, he goes, Eddie, we previewed it and all, and the crowd just didn't like it after a while. They got tired of it. But I did a lot more funny stuff in that scene. It was a movie I was very proud of because of that scene. I got to do some really funny Charlie Chaplin stuff with that bed, and he cut most of it out. He left some in, but whatever. And I remember Wendy Sherman, my girlfriend in that movie, she always ate vegetables, and she had bad breath. And I always had to talk to her and kiss her. And she had the worst breath. Oh, my God. She was a nice lady, but she had bad breath. Right. Whatever. So that was an ordeal, too.
Oh,
but
man.
Kevin Pollak was hilarious. And he's a genius. He's great,
Right.
The grumpy old man. He's done a lot of great stuff. So I'm proud of the fact of working with him. Kevin's a great guy.
Yeah, and it's it's good that you get to meet and work with some of these guys and just discover them.
That was his first movie, and I knew he was talented, but he became a semi-star. He's not a superstar in the sense that Walter Matthau or Jack Lemmon, but he became pretty big movie star. He did some really good movies.
Yeah, Usual Suspects and and he does some great great impersonations of people.
He does a great Walter Matthau. He does a killer Walter Matthau. Yeah. He does a killer Peter Falk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So you've done obviously not just Polar Express. You've done some also amazing voiceover work. And
thank you.
Yeah. Dexter's Laboratory, which
Mandark, yes. I do signing shows almost every week of the year. Yeah. Maybe not over the holidays, but Denise and I are doing one next week, and I forget where it is, but we do them all the time. At every show, Dexter's Laboratory outsells Grease and Polar Express. People want Mandark pictures. Believe it or not, that's the most popular picture I have. They want, do you have any Dexter's Lab? Right. People will always buy Dexter's Lab. Yeah. Grease and Polar Express sell good, but the biggest seller is always Mandark.
Yeah, and it's great because it was such an iconic show, and it still lives on.
Yes, and she was again another like Wendy Jo Sperber, a genius that we lost. She was the best animated person I ever worked with. Was Christine Cavanaugh.
Oh yeah,
she died. I think she was only 50.
Yeah, I know.
And she was so brilliant.
Yeah.
I just love working with. You are stupid. She said that she invented this Dexter character, and she was so brilliant and wonderful. Yeah, I love working with her, and it was such a loss to lose her. I just hated losing her. God bless her. Wherever she is, I hope she's happy because I love Christine so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how much of the character from Surf 2, Menlo, did you put into Mandark?
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way. Maybe I did take some into it. I know, because you're right. They're both mad scientists. I never consciously thought of that. I just took it as two different characters. I don't know. I just thought this is the bad guy. And the laugh, I'll tell you this story of the Mandark laugh. Everybody goes, you do the Mandark laugh. Yeah. The story of the laugh is, it said in the script, it said, I'm going to get you, Dexter, is a line. And then it said in parentheses, stage instructions said, maniacal laugh. So Noel, I used to do this pat laugh. I would do a stupid laugh. I would do it and it would get a laugh. I go, ha. It was just a long laugh. It was a stupid little laugh, and I get kind of laughing. I go, "Hi, how are you?" I walk down the street, "Ha!" It was just stuff. And Colette goes, "No, that doesn't work at all." She goes, "First of all, it's not maniacal, and it's not funny." So she goes, "Why don't you try chopping it up?" She goes, "Chop it into bits." And I go, "Ha ha 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 ha," and she goes, "That's it." So Colette Sunderman was our director. I did 25 episodes of Dexter's Lab. Colette Sunderman is the greatest woman director I've ever worked with, the greatest animation director I've ever worked with. She directed every episode of Dexter's Lab, and she invented the Dexter's Laugh. So she's wonderful. She's still a friend of mine on Facebook, and I love Colette. Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah, that's great.
That's where it came from. Yeah.
And there are just so like a lot of shows, a lot of animated shows will voice, the whole cast will get together and voice it, or they'll do it separately. How did Dexter's Laboratory do it?
Usually we did it as an ensemble. Usually we did it together, but there were some episodes, you're right. Some episodes they just call you in and you do it alone. I don't know why that is. Maybe you're an afterthought. I don't know why that is, but you're right. Sometimes in voiceovers you do it with the whole group, and sometimes you do it alone, which I like it either way. So
yeah.
It's kind of fun to play off other actors, but on the other hand, it's fun to be alone because you get all that attention. Everybody,
right.
Everybody is really very picky of every line. They want to make sure every line is perfect. So it works both ways. I enjoy both ways.
Yeah, and the best thing about voiceover work is you can just dress in whatever you want.
Exactly. You don't have to shave. Yeah, you don't have to look your best. Yeah. It's kind of like masturbation. You don't have to look your best. You just, however you look, you still have fun either way.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to finish the job either way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, SpongeBob had, you were on the TV show, and they had, a couple other live action people. Was David Hasselhoff, and I remember Antonio Banderas was in the movie, and then there's Eddie Deezen is in an episode.
Yeah.
So when you get
who I worked with, my pal on that was Tim Conway. I got to work with Tim Conway.
Right.
Who was another? He was a hero when I was a kid. When I was a kid, McHale's Navy was my favorite show.
Right.
And Tim and I did a movie together. I forget what it was. It was called The Long Shot, I think, something like that. Yeah. And I had a little bit. I go, "Oh, you like the toupee?" And Tim and I just hit it off. We started talking. And he was, again, like Spielberg, just a totally sweet, unpretentious guy. And here's another one, Noel. A lot of comedians you meet, I don't know if you meet them, they're two different breeds. Some comedians you meet and they like to laugh. Yeah. They're very funny. And some comedians never laugh. They're the most serious people. Yeah, they're just very serious off stage, for whatever reason. Tim Conway was a laugher. He was a giggler, and everything I say would break the guy up. So he put me into Dorf's Golf Bible, and he put me into Dorf Teaches Golf, a couple of those. And we did a bit in SpongeBob at the end. We're actually in the end credits, the strangest credit I've had. But Tim and I are two seagulls in the end credits, and we talk through the end credits. So that was SpongeBob. That's my experience with SpongeBob. I knew Tom Kenny, who does SpongeBob. Yeah. He was Dexter's father on Dexter's Laboratory. So he's the nicest guy in the world. Super great guy, super talent. But I knew him before, and that was my SpongeBob experience. Yeah.
Yeah. My oldest son, he just turned 21, and both we love SpongeBob together. I think we're going to go see the movie this weekend, the new one. But we laugh all the time about SpongeBob. It's just like it's. Anyone can watch it. It's so iconic,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, except my wife, who absolutely hates it.
Yeah, I think it's an acquired taste. I think it's one of those you either like it or you go, "What the fuck is this? What is this?"
It's true.
It's not. I'll be honest. I love Tom Kenny. I love him, and I love the people cartoon. But that show never caught on for me. I don't know why. But of all the Cartoon Network shows, that's like the biggest one. Powerpuff Girls, I never caught on to. I did like one-offs. I did one Powerpuff Girls, and I did those other ones they did. I usually did one show for some reason outside of Dexter's Lab, but they never appealed to me. But I miss Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network was a sad year that we lost these great people. Of course, Rob Reiner is beyond horrible. But losing Cartoon Network too, we lost Cartoon Network this year. It folded, and that was kind of the end of an era in Hollywood. Because Cartoon Network was a part of Americana.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I used to watch it all the time. And now, there's a couple channels like Boomerang, and there's like a MeTV cartoon.
Yeah, we went to Boomerang, right? I think the Dexters have moved to Boomerang now.
Yeah, and they have a lot of the old cartoons, which are fantastic, as well. But when my youngest was, my oldest was growing up, there was a show that you did a couple spots on called Handy Manny.
Oh, yes, Handy Manny. I think I did one of those. I did at least one of those, yeah.
A couple of them.
Handy Manny, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember playing the character Zip? That was the character you were.
No, I have no memory of it, but I remember doing a Handy Manny. Yeah. What kind of character was Zip?
He had like these talking tools and stuff like that. Yeah. So you were in the toolbox. I think that's what
Gotcha.
It was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But like when people like just approach you in the streets, like what do they most remember you from? Is it
Grease.
Grease,
Yeah, unequivocal. Because Polar Express, you don't know it's me.
You don't know
it's
it,
kind
right.
of, it is me. And they'll go, oh, I was talking to you. They go, you sound familiar. I go, I recognize your voice. But Grease, they know me, you know, and Grease is like everybody's seen. It's one of those movies everybody's seen, you know, it's like The Wizard of Oz. So it's definitely Grease I get recognized the most. But it's one of my smallest roles.
Yeah. You know, it's funny.
But that's life. Life is ironic, you know. It takes ironic twists and turns.
Yeah, and like obviously you've played the nerdy character, the evil genius. So maybe a little bit of a typecasting, but one movie where I can't believe you weren't in was Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes, I get that all the time. And guess who I met this year? Finally, I finally met him after all these years. Robert Carradine. Robert Carradine is at a signing show, and I went. I think we were at the same show.
Right.
So of course I had to go to his table. I go, Robert. As soon as I go, I have been mistaken for you at least 100 times over the years. He goes, do you get mistaken for me? I have that, and he goes all the time. That was his name. He goes all the time. He was a very, very nice guy, but
Right.
that's the guy that. Are you the guy from Revenge? Because I'm that guy. I wear plaid shirts. I'm wearing a plaid shirt right now. You can't see me, Noel, but I'm wearing a plaid shirt. I just look that way, and that's the way I am. Now, Adam Field did a movie called The Whoopee Boys, who I was in, which it was with Paul Rodriguez and Michael O'Keefe. It's one of my funniest movies, but it tanked at the box office.
Right.
But I went up to Adam Field, the producer, and I go, I got to ask you, why was I not in Revenge of the Nerds? You produced it. This is what he told me. He might have been giving me a nice answer to play game, but he said the joke of the movie was we wanted to get regular looking guys and dress them up as nerds, make them look like nerds. He said, you already looked that way. It wasn't the same kind of joke. That's what he told me. So I don't know. Robert Carradine kind of looks like a nerd to me. I don't know. Maybe without his glasses he isn't.
Yeah,
but
I don't
that's
think.
what he said.
Yeah.
He said we wanted to make him look like nerds. He said you're already a nerd.
Right.
So I took it with a grain of salt, and but that's what I get asked. Why were you not in that movie? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Timothy Busfield is a big hunk,
Yeah, exactly. Or who's the other guy that's famous from ER?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards too. Yeah,
Anthony Edwards. Yeah, exactly.
And then wait, who's the other guy? He's like a nerd. Oh, Curtis Armstrong. He's like a weirdo in every
Curtis,
movie.
I love. I work with Curtis. He's a great guy.
Yeah, no, he's good too. So I mean, you would have fit perfectly in that movie. So I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, do you remember doing the Transformers?
No memory at all.
Okay.
I know they're famous and all. I don't even know what they are, but I know I've done it. I remember the resume, but I have no memory of it at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know it's like an animated show where
Was I good in that? What did I play in that?
Oh, you played. It's called a Decepticon. It's a robot that changes. So it's like it's an iconic show that has had like many spin-offs. So
okay. Yeah, I know it's popular.
Yeah. But Eddie, I just want to thank you for doing this today. You've been a big inspiration for me throughout the years, all the work you've done. Where can people like find you and stuff? Like on social media?
Oh, I am on.
Signings?
Yes, I'm on social media. I am definitely on Facebook. Please visit my Facebook page. And thank you, very kind. I just want to return the compliment and say you're one of the nicest guys I've ever been interviewed on a podcast. You're a super nice guy, Noel. And I'm glad you had a happy Hanukkah. And I want to wish you a great new year in 2026. I hope all your hopes and dreams come true. I hope you have your best year ever in 2026. And I wish the same for all your listeners. But it's been a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for having me on your show. It was a pleasure and a privilege. Thanks.
Yeah, Eddie. The pleasure is all mine. I really appreciate it. Do you come to the East Coast, like New York, at all for any signings?
I hope so. I just whatever book me. Wherever Denise books me, I do right now. I do mostly East Coast, yeah. So I'd love to go back to New York. My ex-wife is from New York. She's from Long Island, so I would love to go back to New York.
Oh, great,
yeah. Hopefully, I'll see you.
Yeah,
I feel like we'll definitely meet in person someday.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch on Facebook.
Okay, thank you, Noel.
Thank you
and I will
so
see you on
much.
Facebook.
Definitely, and Happy New Year. Okay.
Happy New Year, Noel. Take care.
Bye.
And a special thanks to Eddie for joining me today. Go check him out on Facebook. He's a great follow. He posts some great pictures, tells some stories, tells jokes. And if you have a guest suggestion, you can hit me up on X, formerly Twitter, at @theFirstNoel19. Be sure to like the page Reliving My Youth on Facebook. Go to iTunes, check out all the past episodes we've had. While you're there, please rate and review the show. If you don't have iTunes, not a problem. Show's on SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, YouTube. Basically, wherever you can find a podcast. A new episode will come out next year. Stay safe, everybody, and Happy New Year.